Okay. Oh, hold on.
Yeah. Interesting Gemara tonight. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Ratzo Kaisa L'Psula. If he wants, he writes L'Psula. If you want to write to the Psula, Shtar Shem Mosayim, a document of 200. Vihiko Sevas. Oh, you didn't really. All right, we'll give you enough time, Tom. Vihiko Sevas, so he's Kablalti Mimcha. By the way, tonight's Daf Yerushalmi is Daf Nun Hey. So at the end of the evening, we'll be 20 block behind, which is not bad as far as things go. We've been 30 block behind earlier this year.
Yeah, we're the only one doesn't
we are the tree in the forest. He writes for Psula a document of 200. And she writes to him, I received from you 100. She writes him receipt. Now it's a fictitious receipt, right? It's a legal fiction, but it works. She writes a receipt on $100. So it's a discount. Ulamana for a widow, $100. That's the official sum of the ksuva. Viko Sevis, so she discounts it by writing him a receipt. He's kabautim mechocha mishum zuz of $50. Or Mary can't do this. If you give less than 200 to a woman the first time around, and almana, mimona, you give a woman who's a widow less than 100 for the second time around. This is a fornication, not a marriage. So of course he's being very severe in his condemnation, yes. But the idea is that you can't deduct. Now, the Gemara here is very interesting. Mizbar Savar Rabbi Yehuda. Look, what does Rabbi Yehuda hold? So if Rabbi Yehuda holds that ein person b'sula mimona, that you can't give a b'sula less than 100, and a b'ula, a woman who's second time around, less than 50. So why does he have us do this charade of writing receipts? V'yichtov came mishor rishona. Just write them in the ksuva. 100 for a b'sula. Who's to say we have an option of writing 150?
Looks like he's being magnanimous. That's
It would sound for the mission that he can't, that this is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You're saying he has an option to do it elsewise. It sounds like mission is the only way to do it.
I didn't get that impression.
Okay, maybe not, but I'm not saying that that's necessarily, that's the Gemara's impression at this stage. I'm not saying the Gemara's going to remain with that, but that's what the Gemara's impression is. So it says the Gemara there.
It says Ratza Kosei. If he wants.
Okay, maybe you're right. We'll see in one or two more minutes. So it says the Gemara. Ella b'peiches v'hoilech. Says a very interesting answer. Where it says, no, really we're talking about, he kept on chipping away at the ksuva. In other words, when he met the night of the marriage, he wanted 200 zuz like any other woman. So then he started going to work on her, and gradually chipping away at her ksuva over time. So really she was writing not just one receipt, but receipt after receipt after receipt, as he gradually chipped away at her ksuva. Now, she was obviously giving him to him, she's a jerk. I'm not a jerk, an idiot. But nevertheless, that's the case. So it says more, okay, if that's the case, you know what it should say in the Mishnah? So it's not 100 at once, right? It's 50, 10, 20 now, 10 later, 5, 30. So it should write, I receive from you so and so much, until gradually they chip it down to 100 or whatever the lower limit is, if there is one. So it says, Gemara, Ashkach Tani Bar Kapara found indeed a girsa like that in the Mishnah. She's kabauti mimcha kach v'kach. That she writes successive receipts as they whittle down the ksuva. Rabbi Yochanan said, Lom Rabbi El Basof. This is only true later on in the marriage. How b'tchila beginning of the marriage, after Rabbi Yehuda Moder, Rabbi Yehuda also concedes that he has to have a full 200 for psula and a full 100 for almana. Ayin hu b'tchila v'ayin hu b'sof. What's considered the beginning? What's considered the end? In other words, when can he start going to work on her and whittling her down? Chevrai b'shem Rabbi Yochanan, the Chevra named Rabbi Yochanan said, Ad shelo ba'al u'mishabal. Before he has relations with her, he has to pledge her 200, the full amount. After he has relations with her, for then he can start chopping it down. Rabbi Zira b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Zir, it's also named Rabbi Yochanan, but Rabbi Zir said of the Chevraya, Achlo Konas Umisha Konas. It depends if it was before he took her into the chuppah or after the chuppah. Not actually bia. It's not contingent on the actual relations. It's contingent on when the chuppah took place. Okay, so before the chuppah, he has to give the full amount. After that, he can start whittling her down. Now, there's a couple of words missing here. It should be konas o baal, not lo baal, but konas o baal. According to whichever opinion we're taking, Rabbi Zira or Chevrayas. If it's after the chuppah according to Rabbi Zira, or after the bia according to Chevraya. What if he took her in, and or actually relations her, and then Girsha divorced her, Bichzira, and took her back again. I know it's a wacky case, but okay. We had a similar case, right? Yesterday we said she gets whatever she got the first time. But now our query is slightly different. Our query is, when can he start whittling her down when he's taking her back? Since he already had bia with her once. He already had chuppah with her once. So the second time around with her, can he start whittling her down immediately? Or does he have to wait again until after the next chuppah, and again until after the next bia, right? So, Baal the Girsha B'chzira, he betchila v'basof. Is the second time around considered to be already too early in the process before chuppah or bia, or is it since he went through chuppah or bia already once, so then he could start again on her immediately as soon as he starts taking her back? And the more, of course, does not resolve this, right? But now the more goes, and by the way, I didn't look up today, but I don't really remember very much of this from the Bavli. And I think I have a pretty good recollection of these sugyas. A lot of these are unique to the Yerushalmi. And certainly the next one seems to be quite unique to the Yerushalmi. Ezu isha vezu pilegesh. What's a wife and now what's a concubine? Now, it's interesting because we normally hold that concubines are things which are, I believe we hold like the Rambam, the concubines are only permitted for kings, not for regular people. Mm-hmm. But the Gemara doesn't seem to distinguish here. The Gemara seems to hold that concubines are independent category of relationships. And what's the difference between a wife and a concubine? A wife has got a ksuva. Pilegesh ain't lo ksuva. A pilegesh concubine has no ksuva. Rabbi Yomer achazu v'achazu yesh lo ksuva. They both have a ksuva. Isha yesh lo ksuva, it's not ksuva. Woman has a ksuva and all the conditions of the ksuva. Meaning she gets fed, after her husband dies, she gets to live in his house, her daughters get fed, all those conditions which go along with the ksuva.
Really?
No, only a wife. A pilegesh, yesh lo ksuva, pilegesh has got a ksuva, but ain't lo t'nai ksuva. She has the basic 200 or 100, but none of the fringe benefits which come along with the ksuva, which are called t'nai ksuva, okay? Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav said, Zudivrei, going back to our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav said, Zudivrei Amei Rabbi Yehuda. In our Mishnah, Amei and Rabbi Yehuda argue whether you can whittle down the 200 to 100, or to the 200 or the 100. Rameir says no. Rabbi Yehuda says yes. Rameir says no. But even for Rabbi Yehuda, it seems that you can only whittle it down to 150, not beyond that, right? But that would not be good for us kolonics. We have to find something where not only can we whittle it down, but we have to get our wives to support us, right? So Baruch Hashem, there is such a shita here, which also I don't recall from the Bavli for a strange reason. I don't know why. So but according to Chachamim, no seyodemisha, a man can marry a wife. Mr. Zuger, pay careful attention here. Umasnima, and he makes condition with her. I'm not shalolazuna. He doesn't have to feed her. Uparasah, nor does he have to sustain her. Fuloot, not only that, elishate zonaso. She has to feed him. And sustain him. And send him out to learn Torah. So here we have the source of Koilo. Right here explicitly. Okay? Suva, no, I don't remember it all in the Bavli. Suva is the Lamagim Lamed Beis in Yerushalmi. Here it is, folks. Okay? Ma'aser Rav Yeshua, and in order to cement this idea in young minds, we bring down or in old minds, we bring this down in Ma'aser Rav Yeshua, Benosh Rabbi Akiva. There's a Ma'aser of Rabbi Yeshua, son of Rabbi Akiva. Shenos Ha'isha. He married a woman. V'yitnoima, And he made a condition. I'm the same idea. She's not going to feed her. It's not going to sustain her. On the contrary, she has to feed her and provide him with parnasa. And teach him Torah. It came with once years of famine came, the choku hanechasim beineim. So they split the property between the two of them, and obviously it was not enough, right? She didn't have so she wanted to be supported like a regular wife, huh? So she started complaining to Chachamim that her husband was not sustaining him. So the Rabbi Shua son of Akiva said to the Chachamim, I trust her. Ask her what our condition was when we got married. So she conceded. She said, certainly, I certainly made that condition. However, now I can't take it anymore. So the words, it should say here, Amrullah, even though it doesn't say that, this is their response. They said to her, this. Einachar kinyan klum. Once you made a kinyan with him on this, once you agreed to this, you have no recourse. You're stuck.
Thank you, Ben.
That's right. Okay? It's totally to his advantage. Now, I want to point out that although Chachamim obviously hold you can completely turn the tide of the Ksuva, but the basic 200 and 100 are not a matter of discussion here. It's just that all the T'nai Ksuva, they are shorn away, right? Because normally you have to feed your wife.
No.
The fringe benefits.
No, not the fringe benefit. What do you mean by the 200 that you can chip away at the? I mean, it's already in Kesuvos.
Yeah, but the thing is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can chip away at it to a certain amount by writing receipts, by having her write those fictitious receipts.
That she got this money even though.
Right, even though she never got it. So Rabbi Yehuda holds you can chip away. Rabbi Meir holds you can't chip away. But they both hold you can't chip away that she has her T'nai Ksuva. The fringe benefits she is not deprived of. Rabbanan, it's not clear whether they hold like Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Meir, whether you can write fictitious receipts or not. But what they do make clear is that all the T'nai Ksuva, all the normal conditions which he says to support her and sustain her and all those things which we write into our Ksuvas nowadays, he can, make this condition and get out of it. Okay? So actually our Ksuvas nowadays, which are structured in a classic fashion, that on the Eifluch I will work, Ve'ezun, and I will support, I will feed the Afarnes Yosechi Lechi, and I will support you. That's the language you write in a Ksuva. So according to this last Gemara, you could really delete that if she agreed and just write Va'at Tiflechi. You are going to work. Va'at Tizuni and Va'at Tefarnesi Yosi. All right. In any event, says.
I'm surprised that the Peligish gets the same money in the Ksuva as a regular wife.
Yeah, but
Well, that's a machlokas. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, right? But yeah. But in any event, I'm not sure the Yerushalmi seems to be value neutral on Ksuva Peligish here. But I'm pretty sure we only allow Peligish for kings.
Well, my understanding was a Peligish, sometimes they would travel across the desert and the woman would ally herself with the head of the group.
Yeah, but we don't know. We never find that in the Gemara. That might be some sociological comments
And then they go across
in this tree books.
The other side, she leaves them, whatever.
I never heard of such a thing.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, maybe we'll come across it later in Nashim in the Yerushalmi. I don't know. Okay, a little bit of a shift of gears here.
It's like a king,
Nosim Psula, Shneimas HaChodesh. You give the Psula, the first time around, she gets 12 months to Mishatava Baal once her husband has demanded of her to get married. These, of course, were the 12 months that they had in the old days between the betrothal and the man, the chuppah. Okay, so she has 12 months to prepare her trousseau, right? So kshem shenosim leisha, just like we give the woman that 12-month period, kach nosim leisha farnes tisatzmo, takes a long time to rent that tuxedo, so he needs 12 months too. Ulamana, for a widow, only shloshim yom, only 30 days. He gives. He gives Mamlonisu. He gives Mamlonisu. If the time has come and they haven't had chuppah yet, ochos mishalo, then the fiancés, well, not really fiancés, but the betrothed wives, are within their rights to demand that he feeds them. And if their husbands are quanim, they can eat truma. Rabbi Tarfon Omer no simla kol truma. Those circumstances we give the wives get from their husbands the quanim complete measure of support in truma. Rabbi Akiva Omer mechta chulin mechta truma, half chulin half truma. And of course the reason for that is because when she's in nida, she can't eat truma, right? So therefore we have Rabbi Akiva holds half and half. Okay, says the Gemara, Tani. A beggar. Well, boy, we're rolling today. I don't know if I can drag this out till 10:15. Tani.
You don't have to.
You sure? A beggar, a girl is 12 and a half. Right? She became 12 and a half for her. It should be Mitzad B'Shah, which makes no sense. It should be Kitvua. It's as if she has been demanded. And should say v'noisim lo, we give her 12 chodesh, 12 months. In other words, after this whole business 12 months, it's only up to the time she's 12 and a half. Once she's 12 and a half, the clock starts ticking, and whenever she gets engaged, then she doesn't get an additional 12 months after that. Okay? She only gets that 12 months up to the time she's 13 and a half, right? Because 12 and a month, a year after she reaches 12 and a half. But after that, I don't know how much she gets. She doesn't say, maybe 30 days, but she doesn't get a full 12 months anymore. Okay? Rabbi Hila said, Tani Tamam, we learned over there, no snim, what? No snim lebegger shneimasa chodesh. We gave a girl who's over 12 and a half, a bogeres, 12 months. V'noisin la kiddushin. And it should be nice kiddushin, take out the word v'la'amona. Nice kiddushim shloshim yom. And then we give her 30 days. So actually here it is specified. We give her 30 days. In other words, assuming she's 13 and a half already, that's it. She only gets 30 days now to prepare. Whenever she gets betrothed, 30 days afterwards she goes into chuppah. Tznina, and that's smart. I don't understand. It says, nice besula shneimasa chodesh. You gave 12 months for a besula. And you're saying that once she's over 12 and a half, she doesn't get 12 months anymore. What do you have to reconcile with our Mishnah? Says more Rabbi Avim, B'Shem Rabbi Hila said, L'achar Bulgarish, Nemasar Chodesh. That's the way, after she's been a Bulgarish for already 12 months. So that was her 12 months. Then, nice little Kiddushin, Shlosh, then we give her 30 days and that's it. Period. Also, Nemasar Chodesh, Nimdei Rishon. She was betrothed to Reuven for 12 months. On day 11 month and 29 days, guess what happens to Reuven? He dies, right? Oh, you good. You guys are tuned to your varmas. I'm proud of you. Okay? So he dies. He has a heart attack the day of the chuppah. So now she gets engaged again. So does she have, can she demand 12 months for the second guy? Okay? So she's
Is one 12-month period forever, or is it per?
Right, per husband, right, per capita.
She considered a widow and only 30
I'd say
days?
per husband.
You say per husband, you're right. Says the Gemara, then the second guy comes. Amar law, so the second guy says, wait, Kvarim Tat, you already waited 12 months. She can say, Chibaso, it should really be Chibaso Yoiser, Olai Mina Rishon. I love you more than the first one. Is that romantic? Says, I love you more than the first one, so therefore I need more time. Okay? Hu Amon, baloney, she loves her. She loves time. Hu Amon, he is a widower, right? Let's say he's a case where he's a widower. He and she is a b'sula. For her, it's the first time around. V'ubai Meisiv. So he wants to marry ASAP. But she wants to wait. So he's only a widower, so why does she have to wait for it? What does she have to do with he's a has-been? She has to prepare herself for 12 months? So it says the way, no, she can also be romantic. She can say, he's so, I love him so much, he's so precious, my eye. Again, even more than a young man. Okay? Vice versa. Hu bachar, for him it's the first time around. V'hi amana, and she is a widow. V'hi boy mesav, and she wants to get married already. Look at he split, right? 30 days. Yicholhu Meimar, in this case, she could say, Chibasal Yotzim B'sula, I love her more than a girl's the first time around, because for him it's the first time around, and therefore he can demand 12 months. Okay? So basically everybody gets the right to demand 12 months, as long as for one of them it's the first time around. Says the Gemara, he katana. What if the girl is a katana? And she doesn't want to go to chuppah. Kiddushin already was water on the bridge that her father took for her, right? But she doesn't want to go to chuppah until she becomes an adult. For Rotzel Agdil. Shloimelo. Very forward thinking. We let her know.
She wants to finish 8th grade.
Yeah, so we let her finish 8th grade. Okay. 7th grade. There's a girl, right? Here's what. He gives going to the next part of the Mishnah. He gives Mavelonisu. If the time came and the chuppah did not occur, ochlos mishalo, they eat from his food. It should be not, instead of ve'enim ochlos, it should be ve'ochlos b'truma, they eat from truma. That's a quote from our Mishnah, right? Mesu baleim. Now what if after 12 months, they didn't enter the chuppah, but their husbands died, right? So then, ochlos mishlov, ochlos b'truma, they still can eat from him, they eat from truma, because they're the widows of Kohanim, right? So they can eat, even though they're not called Kohanos themselves. And since they were married, right? Even though they never consummated their marriage, they can eat truma. Amar Shmuel, achoy the Rebbe Brechia, Shmuel, the brother Rebbe Brechia said, Vu sheshilim azman berevi. That's only if the 12 months were up on a Wednesday. Because when do you marry a basula? Wednesday night, Erev Thursday, right? So come to base on Thursday morning, right?
Because?
So you come to base on Thursday morning if she wasn't a basula. Okay?
That's right.
So if the time is up on Wednesday, then, and for some reason they can't make the chuppah that day, so then she starts eating truma from that date. However, shesholam azman b'shlishi chamishi. What if the time is up on a Tuesday, or on a Thursday, right? And for that matter, it seems any other day of the week. Chaim Roko Shem Rabbi Yesi, Rabbi China, and Levi, Tarvein Rami, they both said, Nasakamisha Chavshul Seifim. At that point, he says, I'm sorry, my dear, but the rabbis have shackled me. I would love to marry you, but I have to wait till next Wednesday. So he doesn't actually have to feed her until next Wednesday comes along. Okay? That's in fact the psak. On Rabbi Shimon Levi. Rabbi Shimon Levi says, Ima Isla Ikuva Machmaso. If this is just a flip side of what we just learned, if the impediment was from his side, so then Nisonis Mishlosh, she gets fed from his property. Tani Rabbi Tarfanoimer, going to the next case in our next issue, our Mishnah. Tarfanoimer, no, it's not called Truma, you give him everything in a Truma. Because Truma is prevalent everywhere, so therefore we give her all Truma and let her sell some of the truma off if she needs regular food to eat at the time that she is a nida. So she'll sell off some of the truma we give her. Rabbi Akiva mer mechza chule mechza truma. No, we give half and half. Why is that? Shanoshim mitzuya sutar meitaretz, because it frequently occurs that women cause stuff which is started to become tummy. Tani Roshin Gamliel mer kol makom shizkir truma. Anytime we mention truma, we give her kiflayim b'chulin, twice as much truma as we would give chulin. Because truma is much cheaper than chulin, because only Kohanim can use, so there's not much demand for it. So therefore, giving truma, when we could have given chulin, when we should have given chulin, for example, for the days which she's in nida, we give her twice as much truma as chulin, so she can more readily sell it. Okay? Halacha doubt. Hayavam eino machal b'truma. A yavam does not permit. In other words, she was betrothed to, or even married to a Kohen. Then her husband died, and now she's kukol yavam, right? She's waiting to be misiabemes by her brother-in-law, is also a Kohen, right? So he does not. His priestly status does not allow her to eat truma if she's only Yisrael. The Korban Eidah explains, because it says that when do you eat truma? If you're a nefesh kinyan kaspo, you're acquired by somebody else, and the yavam has not yet acquired this girl, right? Because he hasn't yet done bia on her, so therefore she can't eat truma at this point.
She's an almona.
That's what?
She's the almana of a
She's one of the Kohen, but she's a kuko liyavam.
So the Zika negates the
Right.
the widow.
Yeah, the Zika negates the widowship. Yeah, that's what it comes out. The truth is, I'm one of the Kohen. I think there's a better answer, which I'm pretty sure is true. I'm one of a Kohen only eats truma if she has a kid as a Kohen.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we learned this in the Yavamas and the Bavli.
Yeah, we did, I think so.
Right, in this case, obviously, she does not have a kid as a Kohen, otherwise she wouldn't be able to go evil.
We had the Yerushalmi.
We had Yerushalmi or in Bavli. Well, Yerushalmi must have been, right? We didn't get that far. Yavamas in the Bavli yet. Yeah, it was in the Yerushalmi Yavamas, that's right. Okay.
Right, she had a kid who's a voting.
Right. Okay, so that's why here in this case, we're contingent on the Yava.
Yeah,
Now, everything you remember was just a question whether you have access to it. Okay? The hypnotic spell of the Gemara.
Maybe I can find out what my real name is.
Rumpelstiltskin.
I don't think so.
Why do you have to know?
I don't know, just like to know. What my Hebrew middle name is.
You don't have one anymore necessarily.
Why?
If your whole life you've gone without being called by it, then it becomes archaic.
Oh.
You don't have to know it.
Oh.
You can take your own. You can decide they'll call you up from the Torah from now on.
Cradle. It was a name after my grandmother Pauline. I don't know what her Hebrew name was.
So you can call yourself from now on. Well, Paul's Hebrew name was Shaul.
Shaul, it wasn't
Saul of Tarsus.
It was a strange, it was like Pradle, it was something like that.
Fredo's a girl's name. It wouldn't be called Fredo.
No, not Pradle, Pradle.
Fredo is also a girl's
is
name. Doesn't matter. All right. In any event, also Shisha Chadashim, I mean, they could have given you a girl's name. That's unlikely. Also Shisha Chadashim Ifnei Abal. She did 6 months in front of the husband. Shisha Chadashim Ifnei Yavam. And 6 months in front of the Yavam. So now she says, well, I want to eat Truma. My 12 months are up, right? Doesn't work. Even though she all 12 months are in front of the husband, 11 months and 29 days. And only 1 day is in front of the Yavam. That's the shiur, can't eat Truma. Because she only gets Truma after 12 months have elapsed from the time she was betrothed and on to whatever husband's in question. Says more, Zumishna Rishona. This is the initial Mishnah. However, Beit and Shachreim, a subsequent base in Amr, they said, Eina Isha Ochels B'Truma Shikonis B'Chupa. L'maisa, ultimately, the Gemara paskin that a woman can't eat Truma even if 18 months have elapsed until she actually enters the Chuppah. Okay. Even though, as long as she's at home in her father's house, of course, it's not a Kohen, she can't eat Truma. Rabbi Yerim said, Tani Tamar, we learned over there. Hayavama, a woman who's Yavama, Kol Shlosha Chodashim, the first 3 months after her husband's death, Nizaynit Mishal Bala. She's supported by her husband's estate. Amar Yavama Bedin. Then, let's say her Yavama came to court and they told him, no, Tachlis, take care of the situation. Ubarach, and she was so hideous that he ran away. Okay? Nizaynit Mishalo. So then we go to the Yovan's property and feed her from the Yovan's property. Chola, if he got sick, tough luck. Kamisha Baruch time, it's if he flew or fled. And we take the money to support her from his property. Kamisha Baruch time. And also if he goes to Chutzor, it's Kamisha Baruch, it's as if he ran away as well. Shamra. Now this really goes back to what we learned in the previous parak. It's really repetitious, but it's giving us a flying leap, and I think it's the next line. Amana Shamra, a woman who's an Amana says, Harani may get this Amanusi Reves Bali. I want to live out the rest of my widowhood in my husband's house. Shaimila, she's allowed to remain in her husband's house. Rabbi Yosef Shermila said, Ha'emer any choletz. If the Yavam says, I'm not doing chalitza, I refuse. Kilo Emer any megarish. It's as if he's saying he's not going to divorce her, right? And therefore, 1 second. Right. If he says, I'm not going to do chalitza, as if he said, I'm going to take her, I'm not going to divorce her, meaning, and therefore she's married to him, right? And in that case, she would start eating, according to the Mishnah Rishona, which holds she could start eating after 12 months, she would start eating after 12 months. In other words, once he said, I'm not doing chalitza, so then we assume, well, you're not doing chalitza, so you're going to eventually take her. So there, since that's the case, she can start eating truma, her clock starts ticking, and she'll start eating after 12 months. Yitzchak also paskin. If somebody says I'm not doing chalitza, in regards to like saying I'm not going to do divorce, and she can start eating truma after 12 months. Period. Quote from our Mishnah. She did truma 6 months in front of the husband. Shisha chodashim 6 months in front of the Yava. And chelis b'truma, she can't eat truma. That's what our Mishnah said. It's not just if it's 6 and 6. Even if they're all in front of the Yavam, should we really be in front of the husband? Lacking 1 day, doesn't need truma, it has to be 12 complete months. That's all supposed to be quote from the Mishnah. Mas Nisa, the Brisa, is lo commissioner Rishon of lo commissioner Achroina. Actually, not the Brisa. This Mishnah is like Mishnah Rishona, not like Mishnah Achroina. It's not like the first version, nor like the last version, but rather like the middle version. How so? The Tani originally, but Rishona Yomrim, Arusa Bas Yisrael. Once a woman who's Yisrael is betrothed to a Kohen, once a woman who is betrothed to a Kohen, even though she's Yisrael, right, and he's a Kohen, immediately upon being betrothed, she can eat truma. But the Avad Darshan, they used to darshan, the Kohen Kiikna and the Nefesh Kinyan Kasma, when a Kohen acquires a soul. Ma'abeit, the low Cain, because we don't say that that's applying to a woman, a wife. Ma'abeit Kodesh, Ma'abeit Kodesh Shivcha. How would you distinguish between somebody who acquires a wife and somebody who acquires a Shivcha? Just like when you acquire a Shivcha, she can eat immediately, right? So too, if you acquire a wife, she should be able to eat immediately. Why would you distinguish between the two, right? Chazulaim, that was Mishnah Rishona. Immediately upon Eresin, she would start eating truma. Chazulaim, then they changed their mind. They said, Lacha Shtemis HaChodesh. Only after 12 months. When he anyway has to support it, because Chachomim have a separate takana, that after 12 months, the husband has to support supporting her, even if they didn't have chuppah. Based in Shalach, on the last based in Amru, as we paskin today, well, today we don't eat truma, so it doesn't matter. But as with the last based in paskin, lo'olam ein ha'isha chels b'truma, and the woman cannot eat truma, ad she becomes the chuppah till she enters in the chuppah. V'kvar sholach Rabbi Yochanan ben Bagbag, one of my favorite names. Rabbi Yochanan said ben Bagbag eitzel Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir to Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir linet tzivin, to the tzivin which is a chutz la'aretz, and he said, Amar mishimcha, they say in your name, Sharusa Bas Yisrael chels b'truma, that a woman who's only betrothed, who comes from Yisrael, can eat truma already. Is this true? Shochet Rabbi Meseir sent them back a message. Varmalo, say the following: Muchza kaisi b'cha. I would have thought, I assumed about you, Shata Bakei b'sisrei Torah, that you are conversant with the secrets of the Torah, which is in fact the case of Rabbi Yochanan here. It's Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan, I see. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said ben Bagbag, that's what it is. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was in fact conversant with all the secrets of the Torah. Well, says Rabbi Meseira, I feel litrosh b'kav chomer in HaTorah. You don't even know how to make a kav chomer. Ma'im shivcha knanis. In other words, why is he saying that? Because he's saying that I'm right. Of course you should eat that. Actually, I think I made a mistake a minute ago. When he responded, of course I say that she can eat truma immediately after Erusin, immediately after she's betrothed. Because I make a kav chomer. You, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, don't hold that way, then you don't know how to darshan a kav chomer. Let me show you this, says the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Ma'im shivcha knanis. If a non-Jewish maidservant, right, she'ena be a kohen, so can she be acquired by marital relations? No. How is she acquired? By the auction block, by being conquered, by something like that sort, right? So, ma'im shivcha knanis. Sheina Bia Koina also. Where Bia does not acquire her, La'achila b'truma, to allow her to eat truma. Nevertheless, Hakesef Koina also. Money can acquire her, right? And then once she's acquired by money, La'achila b'truma, she's the slave of a Kohen, she can eat truma. Isha, thank you. A woman, Shabia Koina, so where relations do acquire her, La'achila b'truma, and allow her to eat truma. Eino din she'er kesef ha'koine she'er kesef o kono so achila b'truma is not a kavachoma that money should acquire her to allow her to eat truma. In other words, if bia works on her, certainly kesef should work on her, which works in places where bia does not work. Umayaseh, but it says Rabbi to say, but what can I do? Ve'ein amru, then the rabbi said, Lo'olam eina isha be'ochelos b'truma when we not eat truma, achi kos the chuppah until they enter the chuppah. V'samchu lo'akra, mikra. And they relied on a pasuk. Now this pasuk is a true drasha, but it's a cutesy thing. Well, how they rely on this pasuk? It's a smachta, right? They relied on it as being a device to allude to their halacha. What's that? It says, "Kol tar bebeischa yochlenu." Any person who's tar in your household will eat truma. What is beischa? When does the woman become beiso?
She's married.
Fully married after chuppah. So therefore, they only allowed her to eat truma after the chuppah, right? Rabbi said immediately when she's bought.
She's in the house.
She's in the house, right? She goes home by the house.
It's a good
Rabbi said, "I raised the kavachomer shishlo chul." You know what? But the first kavachomer wasn't a good kavachomer either. Do Rabbi Yochanan could respond to Rabbi Meir and said, "Yo Yochel Meimerle could have said, Lo am I do shulchanais? You know why shulchanais can eat truma immediately? Because she's got another kin in which she's superior to a woman. What's that? She niknes b'chazaka. She's acquired by my doing work with her, establishing my ownership over her, as opposed to Tamar Bezu, as opposed to a regular wife. She'en niknes b'chazaka, who's not acquired with chazaka. Kol kavachomer shishlo tshuva bato kavachomer. Every time we can refute the kavachomer, it's not a valid kavachomer. So therefore, that's exactly the reason why we say that the eating truma thank you is contingent on the chuppah. Okay. Say halacha. Hamakdish ma'aseh deishto. Now, this Mishnah is talking about where your wife, of course, is supposed to make handiwork for you, although the Gemara is going to discuss this in great detail. Let's say you're makdish your wife's handiwork. Arezu oisa v'ocheles, she still makes handiwork, v'ocheles, and she gets sustained by you. And the stuff she makes does not become hektish. Why is that? Why doesn't it become hektish, the stuff she makes? No, that would be a practical consideration. But give me a logical construct reason. I don't know if you can, but why would not be hektish? She's makdish's wife's handiwork. Why would that not work out?
He can't makdish someone else's.
He can't makdish someone else's thing. Hi, she's got to work for him. That's true, but he doesn't yet own that handiwork. Vis-a-vis him, it's a davar shlo bo la'olam, something which doesn't yet exist, at least not under his jurisdiction. So that's why he can't be makdish it.
What about ishto kagufo?
Yeah, so what? Doesn't matter. No, ishto kagufo is a romantic thing. I mean, there are ramifications of it, but largely not. Largely, it's just a romantic construct. So, Mr. Suki, you know what davar shlo bo la'olam is?
Yes.
What is it? We did it this afternoon.
It's something that hasn't come into. It's not. It doesn't exist yet.
That's right. You got it. Okay. So you passed. Okay. So Hamakish Ma'aseh Ishto Harezo saw she works for chelas so she can eat it because it's not hektish. However, Moiser. What about what she works above and beyond her normal handiwork? She works overtime. So Meir actually says about that Omer Hektish. Rabbi Yochanan says though that too remains chul, and of course it's going to be a major bone of contention in the Gemara. Okay? It says Meir said, Hekdesh, now a lot of typos here, next page. Hekdesh mishelo. Hekdesh is from his, okay? Now, what it means is that the excess amount, the Mosar, actually belongs to him. Rameir does not hold the problem of Davar Shel Ba'olam. So as long as it's his, you can be makdish it. So what's his? Rameir holds the Mosar is his, he can be makdish it. Rabbi Yochanan Sandler Omer, Yochanan Sandler says, no, chulin. That stuff is chulin, and it should be chulin kishalah. Because although he theoretically might have rights to it, but right now it's a davar shel ba'olam, so he can't be makdish it. Okay, so you see that basic difference? According to Rameir, it's hektish as if it's his already, because she has to work for him. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not hektish, because Lamaisa, since it's not around, how is he going to be makdish? It's as if it's hers and not his to be makdish. Okay?
Baal is makdish it after she's made the handiwork. It's not before, but after.
That might work. I'm not sure if we're going to discuss it, but that might work. Now, here, there's a line to throw in from later on. There's a certain one line here out of order. In the, if you count down from the top, according to Gillian Ephraim, please, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines from the top. It's almost equidistant from the top and the bottom. I think it's actually closer to the bottom. It says in the middle of the line, in the fifth word line, ve'ein. You see that?
Okay.
You see that?
Okay.
So it says, where ve'ein kol ma sheyesh le'isha meshuba le'ish la'achilas peiros. I understand, why can't he be makdish? So why should he not be able to be makdish it, right? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon Lakish Amar, and here's the machlokas. Rabbi Shimon Lakish Amar, Rabbi Shimon Lakish says, I'll tell you. B'mosar mi chamisha slaim plige. Her handiwork, her standard handiwork is defined as 5 slaim worth of knitting a week. That's what she should be producing. Okay? Anything above that is considered to be excess, right? And that excess belongs to him. Now, ironically, what she makes, she can actually opt out of giving him. There's a famous case we're going to have later on. She can say, "Any nizonis, any oisa. I don't want you to feed me, and I'm not going to make you anything." Tough, right? I make more money not getting fed by you. I'm not surrendering my paychecks to your filthy little fingers. Okay? So in any event, she can say that, but she can't say that on that which is above and beyond her handiwork. On the Moser Maaseh there, that they gave him, even though, she's the one who's producing it. It's only what she normally makes, not her overtime. Her overtime belongs to her husband. Okay? Maybe because it encroaches on the husband's time. I don't know why, but it belongs to the husband. Okay? So, we're talking about B'ma'ala Mizonos. Actually, it's only if he feeds her. It's only if he feeds her. Yeah. Sorry. He only gets the Moser if he feeds her. Okay? So, Ma'ala Mizonos, he's giving her Mizonos. Ve'eno nosei mo'ah kesef l'tzorchea. Ooh, I made a big boo-boo, according to Reish Lakish. Sorry. According to Reish Lakish, there are 2 levels. There's the handiwork itself, and then there's the excess. And the handiwork itself he gets because he gives her an extra $1 a week for her own private needs. He gives her allowance. And that which is above and beyond the handiwork he gets because of he's sustaining her, he's giving her food. Okay? So what about a case where he's giving her food, but he's not giving her an extra $1 a week allowance? What's the status then? So says the Gemara, in that case, Utznina, we learned, what should be? Ain't no same. Not no snow, no steam, but ain't no same. The husband is not giving her that extra $1 a month for a week for allowance. Ma'aseh there shala. She gets to keep it. So therefore, Reish Lakish is saying that why is there a machlokes here about the handiwork between I'm sorry. Why about the handiwork is there no machlokes in our mission that it's not hektish? The whole machlokes in our mission is about the surplus, the Moser, above and beyond. But about the Ma'aseh Adar itself, there's no machlokas, it's not Kadosh. So here's Reish Lakish about the Ma'aseh Adar itself, the handiwork itself, there's no machlokas, it's not Kadosh. Why? Because he's not giving her the extra $1 a week. Since he's not giving her the extra $1 a week, so therefore he doesn't get the Ma'aseh Adar. So therefore he can't be makdish it. But the Mosar, the surplus, he is giving her mazonos. So therefore, according to Rabbi Meir, who holds there's not a problem with davar shlo bololam, he doesn't know that problem. He can make it hektish. According to Rabbi Yochanan Zadler, nevertheless, he can't make it hektish. Why? Because of davar shlo bololam, because it's not yet extant. Okay. That's Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, but Moiser Achar Misal Pliga. Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what? Even the surplus, which is produced in her lifetime, the surplus which is produced in her lifetime is not the subject of a machlokas. That he actually can be makdish. I see I wrote the wrong thing here on the side. It's not really relevant to what I just told you, but just erase it. Okay, Rabbi Yochanan holds that he can, again, Rabbi Yochanan, the stuff while he's alive, either it's definitely his or it's definitely not his, but it can't be a topic of machlokas. If it's either considered to be definitely his if he's supporting her, or definitely not his if he's not supporting her. But that's not the subject of machlokas. The whole machlokas is what after her death, let's say she made knitting during her lifetime and was sold after her death. Do Amar Le b'she'eno malam mezonos. And the whole machlokas is if he's not paying her, right? The whole machlokas if he's not giving her mazonos. Mazonos, if he's giving her mazonos, divrei al kol kadeshu, everybody agrees that it's going to be kadosh. Now, of course, the question is going to be how exactly it works. If it's davar shlo ba'olam, the Gemara is going to discuss that. Vam Rabbi Zira said, Tani Tamon, we learned over there in Messiah, Rabbi Yochanan proved to Rabbi Yochanan, by Medvar Murim, when can he not be makdish it? B'she'eno malula mazonos, if he's not paying her mazonos. Avi moya malula mazonos, if he was paying her mazonos, divrei al kol kadesh, everybody agrees he can be makdish. Now, why can't he be makdish? Why can he be makdish? The Kohen should not be able to be makdish because it's davar shlo ba'olam. It's not a rat. It's not his. How can we makdish something which is not his? So let's skip a line because we read this line before, and let's go to Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. Rav Shmuel Yitzchak Amar Ma'aseh Yadayim Beinehom. The machlokus is about Ma'aseh Yadayim, what their status is. It says more Rav Meir Omer Ma'aseh Yadayim Muim L'Kadosh Mishor Rishona. Rav Meir says that Ma'aseh Yadayim are suitable in Mikadosh even though they're not yet produced. Why? Because Rav Meir holds actually you can be makdish davar shlo ba'olam. Even though it's not yet around, you can be makdish it. Rabbi Yochanan Sadlo Amar Ein Ma'aseh Yadayim Muim L'Kadosh Mishor Rishona. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Unless it exists, you can't be makdish it. So now the obvious question is though, Rabbi Sai. Well, the obvious question is, so why does Rabbi Yochanan hold that they don't argue that if he is feeding her, then the Ma'aseh Yadayim during her lifetime he can be makdish? Rabbi Yochanan said the Kumhomachus Rabbi Yochanan is about Ma'aseh Yadayim which are going to provide him profit after her death. But during her lifetime, if he's supporting her, he definitely can be makdish it. What happened to davar shlo ba'olam? Reish Lakish shows that even during her lifetime it's a topic of machlokas. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not a topic. During her lifetime, for sure he can be makdish if he's supporting her. How come? So it says more, very interesting answer. It says more, Mashi'irash me'aba. Well, actually, the Gemara says, Mashi'irash me'aba. Hayom. I come to you and say, no, what I'm going to inherit from my father today, Mocholach sold you. Masha Elam Tzudas Hayom, now which is going to come into my net today, and my fishing net, Mocholach, is sold to you. Dvarav Kayami, that works. Now, of course, there too we have the same question. Why does it work? Right? Did he actually inherit the property yet? No, his father's not dead yet. Did he actually catch the fish yet? No, the net didn't work, so how does it work? So Rabbi Avo says, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, Belovo l'tachrichi aviv. It's all about a guy who's borrowing money for his father's shrouds. His father's mamish is there. V'hushia chayle aviv o mesukan. His father's already sick or in peril of losing his life. So there, that's already considered to be not Davar Shalom Olam. Why is that? Why is the property he's going to inherit from his father not Davar Shalom Olam in that case? Because it's imminent.
Yeah.
That's called in Bavli, it's called Avida Dasu. It's on its way. It's normal state of affairs will be that it's on its way. And Rabbi Yochanan holds that in that case, even if it's Davar Shalom Olam, you can sell it or be makdish it. And Rabbi Yochanan said a similar thing about the fish case. If the fish net is already open, even though the fish are not yet in it, that's enough. Okay.
So is that like a chazaka or?
It's I don't know. It's hard to define. It's not a chazaka obviously because it's not holding on to it, and it's not a definite assumption. But since it's almost for sure, so the whole problem of Davar Shalom Olam, really the main problem of Davar Shalom is not that there's not something to be sold or bought. That's a minor problem. But there's a lack of intent. We have one more minute. A lack of complete communer's das or intent. So if it's a case where it's actually Avida Da'asu, then we say that they're serious and there is no problem of communer's das. So that really is the case of Avida Da'asu. Rabbi Yochanan says it works. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue with this sugya tomorrow.
In this case, we don't say it ain't over till it's over.
Right. We don't say it ain't over till it's over. It's over already before it's over.